Oops, Jay wanders out. Today I thought I'd just go over my awning setup that I have in my 4Runner. It's not anything fancy, it's not super expensive, it's super cheap. It's not the easiest to set up, but I thought I'd share how I set it up with you just in case you might get any ideas from it. Before I set this up this way, I actually saw tons of YouTube videos where people had PVC pipes and screws like Tristan from SUV RVing. I've seen other things where people use the poles I had, but a similar pole for the long sides as well to keep the awning from flapping. But I decided against that because it's just a lot more material. And I really didn't have any good way to mount like an ARB awning up here. And I also didn't want to spend $300 on one. And the other thing too is the cheaper like made in China ones that are copies. They seem to not last as long according to the review. So I didn't want to just buy one for like $100, $200 and then have it just fall apart on me anyway. Plus, I don't set it up as often as you would think. I only set it up when I know it's going to rain and I want to keep the back window open. That way the awning gives me protection and I still get airflow with the rain. And I set it up sometimes when it's sunny out. Only sometimes. I didn't do it that often, but I'll get into that later. And I'll show you what I use. For the pole portion, I use these Garden Pro poles. I have a link in the description below. I really love these. They're pretty cheap, about $45. And here's one of them. I have two of these. It's really nice. They have a little rubber end, so you can prop it up to hold the center of a tarp up. I don't do that because I only have two, but if I had a third one, I would definitely use it for that. When you take this off, you have a little cap, and this you can actually poke into any of the grommets in a tarp, in a normal tarp, and it'll actually hold it really well. The collapsed height is pretty short, and when you make it all the way long, it's actually incredibly long. I'm going to need a really wide angle lens. It's probably at least 9 feet. I'll put the description of the minimum and maximum lengths right here, maybe on this car door. But I like to use this because you definitely need varying heights because you don't know what kind of terrain you'll be in. Sometimes you want to set it up on a picnic table like I've done before, and oftentimes though the terrain will be different, like one side will be higher. And also you definitely want to be able to keep one higher than the other so you can make it so the rain runs off. If you make them both the same height, all the rain will just catch in the middle and it'll be a bad time. So I will show you how these set up. Last year originally I started out with this brown tarp, which is from Home Depot. The other side's silver, one side's brown. The brown is nice because you can kind of conceal yourself, and the silver is nice because it actually reflects the sun. And if you set it up in the desert, the sun will not go through and you get complete shade. So that's pretty nice. But unfortunately on Vancouver Island at the Pacific Rim campground, Greenpoint campground, we left this at a table, and then when we came back from a day of hiking, it was gone. Someone took it. So we went to a Home Depot and just bought this cheap blue one. It's really small. The advantage definitely is that it's cheap and it's light and it folds up really small, so you can shove it into a bag and kind of store it away so it doesn't get anything else wet. The disadvantage is it's really noisy, and the other disadvantage is that the sunlight goes through, so when you're sitting underneath it and it's sunny, you'll just get a blue light on everything. It's not the worst, but it's not natural, so it's not the best. The other thing with it being noisy is when it's slightly windy, like often it is when it rains, it does this all night, or it goes up and down, and it just does that all night, and it could definitely wake you up all night, so not the best. All right, now this brown tarp, it's still a little noisy, you'll hear it, but it's a lot thicker, and it's a lot heavier, so it's not as wrinkly sounding, not as crunchy sounding. But again, the silver really helps keep the sun away. And then when you want to get somewhere and you want to stay a little more concealed, the brown side up is nice. But of course, if you put this up when it's sunny, this is going to get really hot and you'll just feel the heat radiating out the bottom. So the silver on top really does help, prevents that heat from soaking through. So I'll show you how this sets up. For my car, I found that a 6 foot by 8 foot tarp is perfect. So 6 by 8, it's going to be 6 across this way and then 8 out. I'll show you how I attach it to the car. Really simple way. The way I attach it to the top of the car is I actually use these suction cups. They're really strong suction cups. They're mostly stronger when you pull instead of pulling this way. but I actually set it up on the ends of the car and attach the tarp here. And actually the tarp grommets attach right in here perfectly, so didn't have to do much. But I'll show you how it attaches. I sometimes wonder over time that this will damage the clear coat or the paint, or at some point it'll be damaged enough just from wear that maybe it'll slide or won't work as well. But at that point I'll figure out some other way to attach it. But if you know better and you definitely think the clear coat will get damaged, please let me know. First things first, I like to attach these, one to the back and one to the front. Just kind of guess where it's going to be. After you set it up a couple of times, you kind of know where it's going to be anyway. This time, however, it's my first time trying to set it up with this in the way. I did not have this last year, so I might be off. And the tarp is also going to mound because of this. I'm not sure how it's going to affect it, if it'll stay at all. We'll see. I try to stay away from the sunroof because I figure the seals might have problems in the future. So I try to put it right in front. And it's a pretty strong suction cup. All you do is press down and press this lever down. Ugh. And that's it. And I put it about this far back. I could put it a little further, but then the tarp will actually be a little bit further from here. So this is pretty good. So you just bring one corner of the tarp up and flip in, and that's it. You gotta do the other corner now. The other corner will adjust. This one I like to do first because I like to keep it away from the moonroof. And if we tighten that one, we might not be able to bring it further in because of the seal here. The back one I like to clip onto the tarp before attaching it to the car. Alright, so I got the two clips clipped up. Now I just have to do the poles and the guy lines. The guy lines won't be as secure as I would normally like because actually the sidewalk's going to be in the way. But we'll just do the best we can. So the Garden Pro poles actually come with several guy lines and several stakes. They're not the best stakes, they're just normal aluminum stakes. They work really well though, so it's well and good enough. And it came with 4 of these, but I actually only used 2 at a time. All right, so try to set this the height that you want it, which will be about here. One of the poles usually just go the one full length, and I leave this down all the way, and it seems to work out really well. And the other one I raise up a little, so I'll raise this one. Now I'll keep this one straight. Key is put the bottom of the pole way down so it falls away from the car. Before putting up either pole, have a guy line ready to loop onto the top so you can stake it down right away. I wanted this corner higher than the other to produce water runoff. I use a simple bowl end knot at the top. The key for like tarps and tents is first setting up the guy lines, then tightening up the lines later. As you can see, the awning setup, it's not the best right now because the sidewalk is preventing me from pulling this way. But after you set it up initially, then you can go in and adjust it. Like this pole's a little long, straighten it out. And this one can be pulled out that way more, so we can just play with the guy line. This guy line comes with these cords. It's actually pretty easy. You just produce a little slack and pull, and it slides right up and tightens right up. It's not the easiest way, but it still works really well, and it doesn't seem to slip at all. So this is the gist of the setup. Tarp up, one side's higher than the other. The big thing with this setup is the rain is gonna fall pretty differently each time. So After you set it up in the range, you're gonna have to monitor it and make sure there are no pools here. And if there are any pools under here, you really gotta adjust. You may have to make one of the poles lower or make one of the poles higher just to get the rain to drip off in one similar way. Often it'll go this way, or other times I've had it drip here. But either way works as long as the water does not collect on top. This setup will still allow you to open the back door without rubbing the top. But it may rub the front door, especially if you made the front side the lower end. If I knew it was going to be really windy, I would not set this tarp up because it would flap like crazy and probably pop off. Well, that's my awning setup. Pretty simple and easy. I've never seen anybody use suction cups and I wasn't sure if it was going to work, but it seemed to work just fine all last year, so I will use it for a while longer. If you have any questions, feel free to ask below. Until next time, everybody, have a great day and take care.